Welcome back to another video. So this one is all about roots and factor questions. There's a few pieces of information we need to know about roots and factors before we get started. These questions are very common on your Leaving Cert Higher Level Paper 1. So first of all, our root is what we get, so our solution or our x value when we solve an equation. You get one root in a linear, you get 2 in a quadratic and 3 in a cubic. And our factors divide in evenly to an equation with absolutely no remainder. So, having gone through those little bits of facts, let's go through 3 different examples here today. So the first one is we have x plus 2. It's a factor of this cubic, and we are asked to find a and find the other 2 factors. So first of all, we know a factor, we automatically know the root, which is x equals minus 2. And I'm going to use that information. I'm going to sub it into my cubic, and I'm able to work it around that I find a is equal to 2 there. I put that 2 information in for a back into the full cubic, and that means that I can actually work with the cubic quite easily now. Remember, we're asking to find the other 2 factors. That factor of x plus 2 divides in evenly to the cubic, so I'm going to divide it in. Now, if your rules of algebraic long division are a little bit rusty, I have a fantastic video for you to watch after this one to make sure that you can polish off those skills. I will tag it in the description box below and also at the end of the video. So we know we're going to get a 0 remainder here. So what we get on the top there, x squared plus 0x minus 1, or x squared minus 1, I factorize that using the difference of 2 squares, and I get 2 values for x there, and then I bring down my second one. So on to the next question. This one has a few unknowns in it. So we have x squared minus px plus 1. It's a factor of that cubic. And again, I divide it in evenly. Now, when you have some extra letters added in, the process of algebraic long division can get a little bit messy. You just have to take your time and go with the flow and make sure that you are following the structure of the calculation to the letter. So we divide in we divide x squared into x cubed, and I go through the process there. You'll see down here now at this stage where I'm writing, sometimes it's a great idea to factorize out the values that I'm working with because we have so many different letters on the go. We have a p, we have an x, and we have an r in this question. So we know that we're not going to get a remainder here. So the answer we're getting here in that pink box there, we know that should be equal to 0, but because we're not getting 0 because of all the unknowns that we're dealing with. So what we do is we do something called equate the coefficients. So I know that the coefficients of x should be equal to 0 and the coefficients of the plus c should be equal to 0. And I write that out, and I see on the left hand side there I can find p, and then when I use that p value on the right hand side I can find the value of r. Let's look at our last question in this video. So we have a quadratic and we know it is a factor of a cubic. Instead of asking us to solve for x or a or b here, they're actually just asked us to represent a in terms of b. So they're saying show that a is equal to minus 2b minus 6 over b. My first step is that I'm going to do the algebraic division. I'm going to divide my quadratic into my cubic. Now let me just give you a warning here. This is a messy one. As you can see there, you have an X, an A and a B. We've 3 letters that we need to manage here as we go through. But what is so important to remember is that knowing the process of algebraic long division really, really well will make this a very straightforward process in the end. Looking at how they want me to represent A, I noticed that there was no X's in that little equation. So that gives me a hint to think that my actual plus C, when I'm trying to get the remainder here, is going to be the equation that I use, or the information that I use. So you can see there I end up with minus 6 minus 2b squared minus ab at the end here when I'm doing my last stage of algebraic long division. I'm going to let that equal to 0 because I know it should be equal to 0 if we did have the information for A and B. And I'm going to start moving it around, rearranging it, so A is going to be the subject. So I'm going to isolate A on the left hand side, and I'm going to move everything over to the right hand side. I will then compare it to the way they wanted A represented in the question. Now, There's a good bit going on here, especially with the algebraic long division. I do recommend you pause and, you know, rewind and check out those calculations and do them with me as I do them here, because they are important and these are quite popular questions in your Leaving Cert Higher Level Paper 1. Don't forget to subscribe for more maths videos.